Hi, I'm Sawyer Knowles, and welcome to part 2 of my devlog series that details the development of Space Escape, a VR puzzle game created for my CS 4099 class. Last time, I introduced the concept of the game, as well as the setup that I was able to get done in Unreal. Make sure to check out part 1 if you haven't already, because this video will pick up right where that one left off. Now, there was one more tweak that I needed to make before I could start working on the puzzles, and that was allowing the player to move around in the scene provided by the Spaceship Interior Asset Pack. This ended up being a simple fix. All that needed to be done was adding a nav mesh to the scene that intersected with the ground. And now if I turn on navigation visibility, the ground will turn green wherever the player is allowed to teleport to. This is great because it provides a quick way for me to specify where the player is allowed to teleport on the map, and it does a good job of excluding objects that are not a part of the ground, such as boxes or other obstacles. Next, a key part of every puzzle is opening a door that leads the player to the next room. Therefore, I decided to tackle this functionality first. I ended up creating a button that will allow me to open a door that can be referenced in the button's inspector, and can be easily modified to not open the door unless a certain condition is met, but more on that in a bit. Okay, now it's time for the first puzzle, and from here on out I will refer to it as Puzzle A. Puzzle A is a rather simple fuse box puzzle, where the player will have to locate 3 fuses around the first room and place them in correct slots in the fuse box located near the first door. Once all 3 fuses have been placed, the player can press a button and open the first door. I started by creating some simple fuses that the player can pick up, making sure to include functionality to allow it to work with the fuse box. Speaking of the fuse box, that's what I created next. The fuse box was created by using primitive objects as well as some downscaled meshes from the Spaceship Interior Asset Pack. The implementation of the logic has been the most complicated so far, but I will link to helpful tutorials in the description if you want to create a similar styled puzzle in Unreal. Lastly, I modified the button that I created earlier in order to only open the door if all 3 fuses have been placed in their correct spots. Now, there are a few minor visual changes that I would like to make to the fuse box, as well as the fuses themselves, and there is the matter of placing Puzzle A in the spaceship scene, but the functionality of Puzzle A is pretty much complete. Next, I know that I want a robotic narrator to provide story context as well as drop hints for puzzles as time progresses. So, once I made sure that I could play sounds in Unreal, I started to play around with my options for the voice of this robotic narrator. The first thing that came to mind was to use a text-to-speech bot. I messed around with a few of them, but I found one called Ilundus Core that I really liked.
Ilundus Core is a text-to-speech bot that mimics text-to-speech donation messages on Twitch, and it has a variety of voices to choose from. However, text-to-speech bots are very static, and while it can be charming, the voice lacks a certain personality. Another option is to record my own voice and alter the audio using Audacity to make myself sound like a robot. Think Gladys from Portal.
This way, the voice can have a lot more personality. This effect is achieved by duplicating the audio track where the first track's pitch is elevated and the second track's pitch is decreased with a small delay. I haven't made up my mind about which option I like better, and I think it will ultimately come down to how much time I have left at the end of the project to get the narration finished. And that's it for this second devlog. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.